arms off. Okay, let's go. Does that make sense? Like there's like a built-in I will stand up for things that are sacred. But the automatic responses, the automatic what to do about something that is sacred, generally only happens when it's attacked. When it's under siege. So like it's really automatic and easy to figure out what to do when your family is sick and you're in the hospital. What do you do when your family is sick and dying in the hospital?
You want this?
Like, but what would you do?
Bye, you two.
Pretty sure it's just called a medical bill.
He wasn't talking about.
Aiden, you're not the guy with the master's degree in this. Now that we've talked for like when someone's sick in the hospital, you go visit them. You spend time with them. That's what you do. You not going to be with them is going to show them the opposite love. So, what do you do to show your family that they're sacred when everything's coming? That's really most people don't know the answer to that question. Like most people honestly don't know. Like, what do you do to show family that they are valuable and precious to you? Everything's fine. It's Thursday. What do I do to show my mom I appreciate her and she's valuable? What do I do to show my uncle valuable and I appreciate him? Like, most people don't actually know the answer to that question. Teach them. Show them. Well, there's other things that are valuable that have baked in value in this world. One of them is sex. And when we don't treat that as something sacred, the people who know how sacred it is, they feel hurt just knowing that it was attacked. Just knowing. Another good instance is a lot of families school are dedicated. They're like getting the grades. Seriously, like that comes from the parents treating school as something sacred. And you have to be really careful because half things in your life, there are going to be more than one that is sacred. God is sacred. All the things of God are sacred. Marriage is sacred. Family is sacred. All these things are sacred. Catholic school is sacred. That's fine. You need to be able to put your sacred things in order so you know what's more and what's less sacred. Can you think of anything in your friends or your family that you treat sacredly?
I don't remember.
They're defensive when it's attacked. Say again? The game itself? No, to a certain degree, that's a serious answer. Like, to a certain degree, there can be video games, things that are not sacred, that are treated as sacred. That totally is a thing. It happens. That misappropriation of sacredness, though, is it's revealing, it's telling, because it means likely the things that are actually sacred, they have built-in value, are not getting treated as sacredness. Not getting treated as though they have value. If you were treating those things that have value as things that have value, it would feel weird when you treated something it doesn't have value, as though it has value. It would feel weird to put Among Us and God on the same level. If God isn't even on that level to begin with in your head, it's pretty dang easy to stay Among Us or any other video or posting a bunch. Like, it's really simple to pop it on that. When something's already there, and there's like all of this built-in value there in that thing, raising something out there is going to feel really strange. Like, no, these are like treating a dollar bill for $100 bill. Come on, just swap with me. I want your $100. Why does that feel weird? They're both made out of cotton. They're both made out of ink and plastic.
Yeah, like the classes.
Why wouldn't you do it? It feels wrong, right? Like you're watering something else. Like you're demoting something with no good reason to demote it. Like no good reason to make it suddenly make it work. So to the people that are older, been married, and they've experienced sex, they've experienced all these things that have this sacred value. And they see someone who treats it as not sacred, it kind of hurts. So God is a really good example of this. He spent chapters and chapters and chapters laying out how to go to the
So we saw
right? Like
when he goes into this
a
favelas.
lot of chapters.
And then we saw all the favelas
And the
in
reason
Judah.
was because going into his presence, human
No, we
being,
do.
all of a
He was
sudden
doing
walking
private
into the presence
lessons
of
in
the most holy God
Oh,
is
okay.
a big deal.
But then we just
And if you don't do it right, it's a big deal.
The Durham Bowl is not
So
during.
like
It is
going
during
through
the
and laying
spring.
out the sacred
Like,
stuff
not
and do
until
this and
the
do this and do
summer.
this and do this and
Right.
do this. Just
So
like
pretty much for the spring, you know, you
perfect,
did
the best you can.
every
It
other
was
day.
important to him because of how sacred it was.
Yeah.
So
Funny, the day
I don't want
before
you to
that,
get
I
the
said
idea,
like,
like, you're not allowed to make
track
jokes
this or rocks.
or don't have fun. You have to keep your students better. You're not allowed to let people see the
Okay,
side.
I
I'm not saying
and
So do you guys go there, or is it just for this?
what I'm trying to say is
No, we go there too.
Okay,
But
it's
it's just
something
convenient.
absolutely safe.
Oh, you're talking about the pool right now or the one in Durham?
That's good.
No, I was saying,
So
Oh.
that would
you
be
saw
Abby.
Tanner, Jeremiah, and
Okay.
JR and all that the other day.
I know.
I got you.
Caleb, do you have one?
Yeah, Jeannie
Water
actually
is
just
the
signed
down.
up.
Okay,
$100
so we're gonna.
is going to
Hey,
hurt
Caleb,
others.
Abby,
She's
Yeah.
signing up for
The
Boy
people
That's
Scouts.
great.
the people
Yeah, I know,
who
you're
are
not
sacred
The pool there is actually
Abby?
really
Hey,
nice.
oh, you're
going
not.
to
Abby,
all year
Gabriel,
round.
Nathan. Okay, Abby,
But on the other
you
hand, that's
gave
not really a problem. It's a forewarning. It's going to happen.
You, Gabriel.
Problem is,
That's great.
So all of them.
idiot who gave away his $100 bill.
I'll go this summer.
That's a really good plan.
That's a problem. If you give away your $100 bill, you're like, you lost $99. That's
I
the
saw
real
you
issue.
for a moment, I thought
So
you were
yes, other people.
I know, it's really easy to do.
People make jokes about sacred things. That's not the thing. If your friends all yelling.
How often do you
The yelling is.
just out of the corner of your eye for a moment? Like, obviously it wouldn't happen like for real, but like,
You
Yeah.
haven't treated sacred
Pretty
things.
often,
Yeah.
especially if we're like out shopping
I
or
just have
something
that.
and we're all together.
Yeah.
Maybe you wanna go with Deacon. It's up to your mom.
what'll be really funny is you can get the exact same grade.
No?
Yeah, I think it'd be taller.
No?
Oh, we already sent it in.
10 and a
Let's
half.
see.
That's cheap. I didn't think about that.
Oh, wait. So
Yeah,
I
big
have
old
C,
font.
and you have a
Yeah,
R,
you
You guys all have the same.
I have a C.
and you have a U.
Yeah.
I have no. You see?
Yeah, we got photos today, big kind of pictures.
I was the odd man out because they sent me 2 right shoes.
So here's a question.
Yes, it did. I give a C. Hey, we all C's. God. Yes, it did. We all C's.
It makes you laugh when someone says the word.
Oh, she's playing too? Okay, so you're after me.
Oh! Oh! That one hurt. That one hurt watching from here.
It makes sense like.
I'm not even playing, and that one made me.
Yeah. Don't be like.
No, that's cheating. Okay, that's devil cheating. That's Abby.
Yeah, where's the humor? Oh, I think that's a cop. I'm not even saying that.
Okay, so you have like R. No, you have U. I have a C. She has a C. So everyone has C except for Gabriel, who has a U. Aiden, you have an R.
You got money?
No, Abby, you have a C.
13 wrong ways.
You have C. Okay, now you
I
have
think
an
that
R.
word's funny, and you don't know. Think of why that triggers the funny button. Why does that make you feel?
He lost it, and he lost.
You might want to give some confidence.
That was nice.
Does that make sense?
Okay, now you have an R.
We're talking about something.
I'm just saying, that was a really good shot.
Something sacred God invented for you. He dreamed up something that is good. Right? Think about it.
Okay, wait, hold on. Doesn't your hand have to leave the ball before it enters the black ball? Pretty sure it
You
does.
can't shoot it, but you can do
Yeah,
it.
you were totally holding it though.
You were definitely.
You were holding it when it hit the black ball. No, that's not what you did.
You were like.
I don't think that
You
counted.
want to get that website?
Know how to handle it. No
That was
science.
full on, like,
How about
You're an
this?
evolutionist. No one said, what if you made it like this? No, only God. Only one.
That's technically Eric or Gabriel,
He's the
but
only one who
as long as
invented
it's not
all
for
of
me,
it.
I'm fine.
It was a sole invention of just God.
Okay, well, you're out. So.
He completely invents that. He gives it to us as a gift. He says, here, I want you to have this. It's going to put a smile on your face. And then we make it.
Yeah, that was okay.
Yep, that's spelled out.
And we don't know what.
Okay, now I have a
That's
U,
the problem.
R, and I have a C. Oh, no, that's me. Stop cheating.
You literally give away your $100 bills. I'm telling you, there's something good and sacred and special.
Okay, so you both have a U and I have a C.
And God's telling you there's something good and something special and amazing wrapped up in this.
You have a U.
And you're just
You
throwing away your
cheated
$100.
5 times.
You're like, it's a joke. That's not what it is. You got it wrong. That's like having a stash of gold bars and thinking they're really fun card papers. Just give them away to all your friends.
You're dead. Wait, how did you get that from?
Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not mad for the badness of jokes that my friends are saying. I think you guys are wasting our precious resource. I think you're just throwing away like it's nothing. Like it's when
You didn't have a side shot.
No, you broke 3 rules in that. It was a side shot partially. Your hand didn't leave the ball and it has not.
No.
so imagine if something else said,
I win.
Denied.
Yes. Okay, I have
You
changed.
go in and pop out.
family was in.
It like did the
Don't go visit.
Little like in between things.
Maybe come out.
Oh god.
Don't go
It
visit.
was like,
That's the like when you shoot a basketball and it circles around and yeets out.
Yeah. Oh,
You
that's
really don't
awful.
care about school. You
You're
don't
like,
try.
but I made it.
Say God is important. You really don't treat.
You know why they put a net
Ever be this
on
rude?
basketball?
Ever creative?
I know why.
because it's a net and it doesn't sound better if it wasn't
I
net.
probably don't know why, but
Because so it looks flashy, so they know the ball actually went
You
in.
can actually see it, yeah.
Okay.
So the first basketball didn't have a
Assume
net,
that based
so it's
on
hard to actually see.
So
The ball
you could
passed through the
debate it.
rim. You could argue it.
Could they get flashes?
No, have you ever played basketball on an old hoop that doesn't have a net?
Forgive us for
I could really play
Sometimes you get an
basketball.
air ball, or you get a, what do you call it? There's no net, and so you can't tell if it passed through the rim or in front of the
to
rim.
show us
yeah,
it's
that
not
makes sense.
But would the rim be like?
to you guys.
It's really hard to see,
Your eyes are really good at being
Forgive us for
tricky,
thinking
but
especially when something's in movement, when there's movement involved.
So
But the net-
maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe you're bad at showing.
You can actually see it.
I don't know.
Okay. That's.
I
But at this point, we kind of
no.
have to assume.
Yeah.
because if it goes in front of it, you won't see the net.
Right,
We
absolutely.
don't see what's important about it.
Okay. Ow.
The other problem is this, and that's that as time goes on, continuing to not treat sacred things as
Okay.
sacred,
Any play?
we just,
Are you
as
playing?
humans, we tend
Are
to
any of
make
you
more and
playing?
more mistakes.
Also, it
Yeah,
Are
exactly.
you playing?
It just goes, it snowballs.
Is she playing?
it prevents there being
So-
argument over when it does things like that, where it goes
Okay.
partially and then comes
Yeah.
out,
Or it goes
and it
me,
goes all the way through.
Caleb, Hannah, Gabriel.
You know, crude jokes and
So that would be
words
debatable, I guess.
So it would be.
Yeah.
is funny. You start with that. It doesn't end.
Caleb lost.
Like it's gonna snowball.
That's your D.
It gets worse. What I see more
That's your L.
commonly in guys my age at this point is like even if they're married, they think they complain about their wife to other people like out loud. Like my wife. They think that's actually funny. And that's like
Caleb, also out again.
that's the person you're supposed to stand up for.
Caleb, that's your E.
More than
Why?
Side shot.
Sometimes
Also, really, you should
they like slowly.
Well, a side shot is still a letter, even if you didn't hit it. Yeah.
So if you were like on the side running to this and you dropped it, that would be a side
I
shot.
don't know.
Yes, I think
And
so.
to me, because I treat my wife as sacred, I think. her
In my
wife is
opinion,
sacred.
I don't, that's probably debatable, but in my opinion, yes.
So if you're a butterfinger, then you
Breaks
win.
my heart. Like it's
Yeah.
this and listen.
Fingers are gross.
And it's not even my wife. It's like, oh,
Caleb, you're out
it's
again.
literally
Never why.
crushing me to hear those things. So that's not their problem that I'm feeling those feelings, but like it tells me it's the rattle of talk, right? It tells me there's a sickness in their heart. It tells me there's something wrong inside them. It is taking
Wait, outside.
amazing value that God
He
has
gave
put
us-
into the marriage relationship, and it's like
Lost
throwing
of
their
the.
$100, just chucking them out the window. Confetti.
Leave the ball.
No. Why are you arm long?
It's sickening. It's sickening.
Here.
And
You lost again.
it's
So that's
hurt,
your
I feel for them.
L.
Because the man who can
Is that
make fun
your
of his wife
L,
and actually laugh
U?
at his own jokes that way
Okay. Yes, you do.
has lost.
I have a 0.
And that's a very valuable
You're tiny.
lost the joy that can be had.
I have a R.
Lost everything in marriage. He doesn't get that.
You have an L
He doesn't
actually.
get that.
Double Y.
And he doesn't even know it. Like, that's the other sad thing.
Oh.
Throwing away $100 and being told later that they were worth $100. Like, you didn't even know. How sad would that moment be? You're like, what? I've thrown away millions. That moment was so gut-wrenching. You're just like,
You almost got it.
I
And so
played that
I
thing.
hope this is that
All
moment.
night.
I hope there's a moment right here today where it's not just getting talking about
Aiden's skills are unbelievable.
stop talking. But I hope
Okay,
there's a
so-
moment where you go,
One. Okay.
I
Wait.
might
Are
be
you out?
missing
Okay. So what letters does everyone
I
have?
might be.
I have a U.
I
You
hope
have
that
a U.
clicks for you.
You have
If
a
it doesn't,
C.
I apologize.
And
I'm not that
I.
good.
That's what I'm saying, we were talking about those.
But I hope
So
that
what is your
this moment
I don't have.
Oh, got it.
Gabriel never got back.
Okay,
Okay, so are you
about things
zero?
wrong. Like, if your humor offends someone else, there might be something wrong with that. But if your humor offends someone else,
I think Aiden, you're doing the thing too a little bit where you don't let go of it.
and the
You guys are like
offensiveness
super
of the humor
sketchy.
is not going to be
You gotta let go of the white ball.
I did
whatever was
the.
wrong under the surface.
Maybe. It's hard to see. I'm just saying.
Where did
maybe.
that offense come from?
Okay, so
That's
you
where
have
the
a.
offense is.
W.
If you aren't treating sacred
What
things
do you
as
have?
sacred, you're gonna
Ah!
treat those things as sacred.
What do I have a U now? Yeah.
The question is, have you chosen the right or the wrong sacred thing?
This get turned into Abby.
Because when you start calling
How many guys? Yeah.
certain things,
Honestly, Abby's just mean. Like she has a mean brain when it comes to this. Like she just thinks about ways to spite people.
there's no other way to put that. Like,
Okay, well I
She's
want
just better at
again.
thinking
not
of
really
the way to spite
those
somebody.
things, or vice versa. There is value in
Okay,
things.
so I want, and I didn't have a single letter.
It's still
But like rubbing it in.
So
way to slice it. But yeah, to
same order or
is
different
what
order?
I was telling my guys to look for the
Okay,
actual
so
good
me, Caleb, Gabriel,
however rare
Hannah.
they might be.
Okay, who am I after?
Okay, me,
Go out of your way to like
No, we'll go
tell and show.
me, Hannah, Gabriel. Me, Hannah, Gabriel, Elise, Paul guy.
Actually, when you rise,
Yeah. It's a really popular person.
Make it in.
actual friendly affection and words.
We were after Elise.
The other thing too is,
Elise was
I think
after
all the great
me.
habits, and there are habits of what to say
Caleb,
when a thing happens.
Lindsay, you're after.
A lot of us have these habits.
What?
You got an L.
I think the most
Yeah.
common one we see in older people.
Why an L?
Over age too, is just swearing. Some people have the habit of a thing happens, I swear. And it's not as though, like, the Bible actually has rules about swearing, specific swear words. It's really about a habit. You've lost control of that. You're just in a dumb habit. It doesn't matter if it's a non-swear word, it's your habit.
That's an
Think
L.
more before you speak, just in general. Just goes out of your mouth every time something happens. And then there's the offending problem. Like, if someone offends someone, there might be something you say for
No,
being
that should made it. Shoulda.
Sometimes when we say things that are offensive, it's just like a habit they don't have.
Oh,
That's
okay,
not
so
as big of an
letters
issue.
check.
As long as she was wise.
It's still an
C.
issue, but like,
And she was
rewriting those habits in the
C,
book
C, C,
can be done.
R,
It's like training a
zero.
dog. No joke. You literally start giving out rewards, and that behavior just like.
No. I would be so mad at that one.
You keep setting them up.
I do.
It starts to feel like you're just putting a line in the sand, like, I want to be good now.
So the adults have R's, and the kids have
That
C's.
doesn't feel
Except for me, I have zero.
No one likes that. No one likes when someone in the group is the rule keeper or the good shoes.
You don't listen to
Don't
you.
cross my lines. Wrong.
The adult.
You
I don't want to play anymore.
know, no one likes that. And so, breaking those lines in the group is.
Yeah, I'm not gonna try that. If she's the adult.
You're.
Wait,
It's much better.
Yeah.
Direction changes.
I got
Instead
Caleb.
of
Okay, I have a.
how fast can we be? Oh no, that's.
Your
Wait,
mother.
I just-
Your
wait,
mother.
I just-
Okay, well, that was.
Try to remember. I have to remember where to hit it,
Jury
where
or
I'm supposed to do that.
That's not helpful.
There.
But instead.
Well, it
just
has to
trying
be like perfectly.
And so, looking for things that are truly things that aren't dirty is a good
Oh!
start.
Oh!
Oh, the ball was in the way.
Truly get everyone laughing, and there isn't a broken, crude, rude element to make it funny. And then promote those things.
I get it.
Find the
Caleb,
value,
Lindsay.
and as you promote those, the humor
It was
that
moving.
are
I do.
like
It was moving.
It
violating
was like
It was moving.
definitely.
You didn't get
the
it.
group starts to look for those things too. So you're really good at it. Like, be the jokester, be the comedian, be the guy who finds the meme. But just
So,
I beat you.
post the one that has
You-
the room.
you.
Don't post the one that has the room. Don't post the one that's
The
violent.
adults have. The adults have.
The next one you want, or the one that
Except for.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
look
Oh,
for the ones
oh,
that
oh,
aren't
oh, man.
violence and
What?
they start to
Hannah!
in that direction. As much as you notice it,
That stopped.
you know how much you're following
I completely saw that.
your
Okay,
own
well,
position in the group,
Al-
but you are very much a
And-
leader in the group.
The adult has you.
Yeah, now the
I
adult
don't know
has
if you
you.
see that.
You are still.
And if you start to change what is put in, you start to change what people are laughing at. they will fall.
Is that stop?
I don't know, you tell me, you're tall.
I don't think it's up, but if you guys think it's up.
And so
That works.
you also have the greatest opportunity to do damage.
What is the goal?
Being
Like,
right.
people fall. Naturally, you don't have to try to lead the group astray.
Wait, that was not
Are you Samuel? You good?
Because they're all, that's not your fault.
Caleb, what do you have?
CR.
CR, CR, you.
For a nap.
You be judged
Yeah.
for you will be judged for where the group goes.
Oh.
It didn't make it.
You were ready to
Might make it
sit?
to that.
No!
Are you out?
So,
But I'm judging
you,
what happens.
Maybe we'll bring it in.
Round the ball.
Wait, you don't have a single letter?
You do what
Who
they
are
do.
you after?
Right?
You don't have a letter.
I tell them, I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to. They don't always
Wait,
do
so-
that, do they?
There's a
Who got out?
gentleman
Caleb.
that's supposed to chat in the lobby
No,
that
wait, you
I
got
recognized from when I was working in South Chico. I pick up all the time. He's a psych teacher. And I was like, I feel bad for him because he's going to be.
Want me to go look?
He's going to be committed
I thought it was my turn.
So
I don't know. I got
Go.
Did you go check on him?
I have not.
Put it on my side. No, I'll get
I might go poke my head in on him though and see. 'Cause he's a regular.
No, it didn't.
Like,
I told you that I saw some video,
That was a corner shot.
Yeah, quarter shots are like,
That was a corner shot.
Daniel?
I'm calling it a C. Our corner shots, I don't know.
what is a quarter shot?
A corner shot?
Yeah.
There is no corner shot.
Like-
There's
how's
only
your
a
mom
judgment on where
doing,
your hits
Hannah?
are.
Like
Did
what
she
if I
get
was like
Did she
this?
get property, the one that she?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's all
Yeah,
about
she did, and we just told our RV up there for her to stay in for now.
That's not
really
that's not- that's not-
Yeah, so she'll be living
that's not-
up there in an RV and another.
Most of it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't wanna know what that was like.
Okay, I won't count it.
Does she need anything?
That's
No, we should. What do you guys think?
I got C.
Okay.
I don't think so at the moment. She's trying to get rid
That
of
would be
stuff.
fine.
She wants to.
At least
People put it where I am.
I hated this side. I hated this side.
What are we doing, guys?
I have to go because she took my turn.
Put it inside.
Well, it's just barely.
It's my turn.
There's not even any.
I do, but at least know my
I don't
turn.
know if
So
that's
she's gonna be living off the grid for a while.
You're fine.
No.
Go, Caleb.
Yeah, she's not really concerned about
yes.
You have an arm.
property.
Out.
So
You have an arm.
I guess if she's trying to.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's things she
Okay,
needs, but
now you're.
yeah, I'll let you know if it gets to the point where this.
Hey, you're cheating.
What?
You get used.
What?
Yep.
What?
I mean, I think at the moment she's just.
I just touched it.
Totally up to you.
Oh,
She's very
Yeah,
like.
that's the super expensive.
I need to know where
So
everything is.
everyone has a U except for Gabriel. Oh.
Except Aiden, he also has.
Okay, does that get you out?
Yeah.
Gabriel.
My brother's
No,
like,
you-
he's
Oh.
not sensitive.
I still have you.
So he's been helping her a lot.
I think we all have you.
Doing stuff.
Oh, nice.
It's
I got
just
extra for-
packing stuff.
I
have a C.
So I feel like that's kind of good at
Whoever
work.
else is not-
Things are getting taken care of.
Caleb speaks Spanish to the ball and he'll listen.
Oh, and the ball's not
Actually,
and I
it
look
looks
at
like
these
C.
things about this.
Oh, barely hit it.
Dang, I have an
You know,
R.
her to help her
Gabriel's out.
Yeah.
sort of stuff.
You speak in Spanish now?
But yeah, once she gets out there, there
Can you
might
send me up?
you know, just trying to
Yeah, can you set her up
figure
with
out how she's
Spanish?
gonna.
Bro, why didn't you say C?
Well, there's weeds and there's rocks.
Okay, so everyone has a U except for C or I think that's Japanese.
You're.
Wait, who am I after now? I'm after Caleb.
Whatever.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I don't know how that. You died twice again.
She really
Twice
likes
again?
Okay,
out
now
there,
it's
so
done.
it's what she's
Wait, that means I get that from Aiden, right? Aiden.
and I think she
Damn it! Oh.
and
Wait, what about me? I almost want to
she's
do.
just gonna live in her
Right,
RV,
Aiden.
and then maybe build like a tiny little like
I play
structure.
with
She doesn't need permit.
We probably don't have time to finish another round, so
Yes,
just
you do.
okay.
She's just gonna have a little library.
Okay, I want something.
Okay, am I after Gabriel still?
Wait, let's just do the order thing. So it goes me, Elise, Judah, Kaylee.
Why are you going counter
Because counters are good.
Couches suck.
Ow! I hurt.
So that's me then?
Oh yes.
How did that hurt?
How do you spell cheese? That's
I don't agree with your sarcasm. No, that was not.
Your arms are so long. You were like here.
And she's still gonna have Sarah for a while.
You're like,
You have a C. That, Judah, nobody would argue that that was.
Everyone would argue with that data.
I'd agree. It was definitely a side shot.
Judah, you're out.
Judah, I could see from here it was a side shot.
And she can't even see. What?
Yeah, it's.
I need you to move that for fear of breaking you.
See, Judah, even Emily's concerned about how you're losing.
I'm always concerned.
Let's try.
Yeah.
Actually happens a lot. Like running
Oh, I got it.
but they're like, you're a stiff,
Oh,
aren't you?
I don't know what that was, but okay.
I guess we have a very strong family resemblance, because I get that all the time.
Yeah.
I don't have that weird.
I mean, you do.
It's like,
You're welcome.
oh yeah, I know your parents, and just like, oh, I heard about your dad, and you just kind of.
That was it. Oh, no, it wasn't like that. Never mind.
Just saying,
Never mind.
what if like, I'm like that?
Oh.
It's fine, but he just kind of kept going.
It has a Y.
Yeah, you have a Y.
Okay, so I won.
No, you didn't.
So Judah's a
So
C.
you have a C and Judah has a C.
But also.
And you're about to have a C.
And then I can tell he just felt so much.
Oh my gosh, no!
I can show you right. This.
Like, I got
That's not. Yes, I do it. I can tell the future.
That was awful. Oh my gosh.
I said now you have a C and then you have a C.
That is true. I'm a little scared of you now.
Judah.
He touched it, Caleb. You're out.
You're out.
You hit it with the ball.
He touched it.
You're a letter.
Okay, no, that's a redo. I didn't.
What?
That's a redo.
What do you mean? I literally touched it, and it didn't go with the white ball in it, and it went over there, and it was about to go in that
Yes,
way.
but he stopped it.
I
So.
mean,
So then he has a letter.
Pretty well right now.
That was the white ball.
Okay, that's because you have a bigger mind or a super bigger body.
Just redo it.
Probably feel like the comfort.
I wonder how big. I wonder how this would be big.
Okay, that's a letter. It's not a letter. That is a letter.
that was Skyball. Skyball.
That's R.
Mine's nicer.
I know Skyball. Someone here's hacking.
Yes.
Aiden, it's you.
A skyball is an R. That was a side shot.
Sorry, I just can't be talking about it.
Oh, then we named out.
You know, it's just like,
Abuse. Aiden's out. That's a CR. You.
That's, I haven't even had a C.
That's an R.
Okay, I have a C. Now I'm at, no, I'm at,
You have C.
I'm,
my dad.
Oh, it's not me.
Caleb!
We're so close.
How do you this? They're all their letters. No!
Actually,
Throws it away from him as he goes.
Way.
Whoa, whoa.
Kaylee! Kaylee!
That's not me.
Kate was my luck.
No,
And he
there's
believed in
more,
fairies.
obviously.
And that's not a lie. Alicia!
It's not my name.
That's her name now.
I do have a cousin named Alicia.
My mom's name's Alicia.
True.
Face's name is Alicia.
Got him! Oh!
Got it. Oh.
Oh my goodness. You guys, I forgot what I have because I've been having to keep track of your letters because you guys don't.
You have it?
Oh,
You guys remind me of yeah. We start really working up there. I want to break things. That's how she's just fully focused on the thing.
Okay, no, we have to start this over. You guys, this isn't working. You
Well,
guys
when
have
she gets
completely
it,
ruined it. Yeah, we have to start over.
I'll start. And we're going this way now.
Judah. I'm gonna get.
I start. I won last game.
I'll start. I won last time.
Judah.
No, you actually lost last time. Go on.
Just let you.
Judah.
Let you.
I'm going to go get.
No, don't let you.
Well,
Okay.
then go eat
We're
them.
going this way.
What's the
Which way?
And give me some.
Clockwise or
Right
counterclockwise?
No.
We're going this way.
Oh, okay.
No, actually, we should go this way. Sister.
No.
Okay.
Caleb, are you playing?
She's gonna try to get you.
Okay, you're before Gabriel.
It's like easy to just throw. We usually do it.
You should remember your app.
Gabriel, go!
Not me.
That'd be one. I think she's really wanting to
Actually, it's a
figure out more about moving off the lane.
Yep.
Is that what you guys want?
Actually, Caleb's out.
Yeah.
Caleb, you're after Aiden.
Concerned with, you know,
No, wait, after
Wait,
Gabriel.
no,
You're after
the way
Gabriel.
everything's going.
Hey,
Wait, you're after. No, not.
Gabriel got a letter.
Judah, that was
What? No, because Caleb wanted to play.
Gabriel's got a letter.
So you're starting over again.
Yeah, let's just restart.
Okay, let me go first.
No,
I'm
no.
going
I'm so
first.
bad at all that stuff.
I'm going first.
Yeah, I gotta get that.
Okay, the order goes Elise, me, Judah, Kaylee, Gaby,
And like our government
Elise.
shut down.
Your name right?
I would just.
Wait, is it my turn now?
Yes, yes, it is.
And if you lied, are you getting only money?
Sure. I'm not lying.
That would be a side shot anyway.
That was a side shot.
No, I wasn't. It was a man.
You're
Judah,
after.
you have a seat. All right, is it?
No, you're
No, it's still my turn. My God.
Oh, yeah.
He's really good at growing food, so we can sow some.
You're after Judy. No, Caleb's after Judy. You're after Caleb.
Yeah.
Wait, if I have a
I
voice
always
crack,
do
Aiden has a
hard
voice
enough.
crack. Would that mean he has a man?
It means you have a seat.
Voice crack is not voice crack is left me.
Technology like they use. Like I water them too much.
Yeah, you have no voice crack. You're a two-man.
Some people make only man.
You're like the opposite
That
of
was like
Aiden.
a double
You
trigger.
have abs. He does not at all.
And we.
You are tall. He is short.
For a while.
Why say you have that so well though?
Oroville, and I
Well,
was
yeah, but for
Judah is a small woman.
you know.
Kayla, I mean, sorry, Judah, you have an arm. Judah has an arm.
Wait.
Wait, it's your turn.
It's my turn.
All I know is
You're out.
No, that's not you.
Oh, okay. That's a you have a you.
Judah, you're about to get kicked out. That's the second time the.
Skyball. Like, you're allowed to call it.
They call it skyball.
Yeah.
when it's pouring rain.
Okay.
Aiden's out.
Oh.
Summer.
Exactly.
That is a letter written that way.
No, I wasn't.
For reasons, but.
That's a rating for Aiden's face.
That's Elisa's reading.
No, that's Aiden's.
No, she. Summer did today.
Elisa. You did it good.
Summer.
Elisa Aiden.
Okay, what are you guys gonna call me? Because I'm fine with whatever real name, but it's stick one.
Yeah, not Alicia. Then.
No, you don't.
Judah!
See, it is like trying to get it.
He's in very happy.
That is a letter. That is not. That is not getting someone's way.
No, it's not a letter. I didn't know that, so let's read it.
You are out.
No, I didn't know that. Let's read it.
Judah, you are.
No, the black one's right here. So let's read it.
Definitely.
No, hey, Aiden, remember to get the black one in here? That's a reason.
You grabbed his arm.
Okay?
You grabbed my arm, took the ball, and threw it.
Judah, you are out. You're out.
Aiden, you're out.
You're allowed to technically threw the ball twice earlier.
I didn't throw it, I tossed
Yeah,
it.
you kind of threw it.
Yeah.
The first one was
All right, Judah, you're out. You're out.
You're out.
I might be serious. I don't think I've voted yet though.
If I was
I don't remember
after
anything.
there, no matter.
So I don't have a letter after. You're after me now, Caleb.
After you.
I don't know. I just don't know.
Moses was
Okay.
If I was after Judah.
I'll just go. So that means you're now drafted.
Aiden, we can still play Foursquare. With 4 squares.
You lost.
3!
What?
Aiden, please stop.
Oh, okay.
You're out.
That was a foot, remember?
No, there's no such thing as feet and toes.
Yeah.
Liar. Trying to think feet are toes. My best student.
No. Okay, I think I'm a.
You have an L.
I think I'm a first.
I think I was.
Aiden! That was rude. That was rude. That was
You're
rude.
gonna miss your turn
What?
You're out.
at some point. Might be my seat.
Hey, do you watch curling? The Olympics?
Who's curly?
Curling.
Curling.
The Olympics.
Like the
curling.
hair curly?
Curling.
No, you haven't seen when they shave the ice?
No, I think
I like
Aiden's
that, guys.
hair is curly.
Yeah.
Trying to do a side job. I mean, a side.
I don't know what all my markers.
Yeah.
I'm not as tall as you.
Wait.
Redo.
Back shot.
I think you're.
Oh, yeah, you're
That was yeah.
Yeah, shoot.
We got our first.
It was my turn.
I just did it.
It was growing like this. How was I supposed to do that?
I think it was.
Take the letters.
Exactly why I did it there. So,
Aiden, you don't know how hard it is.
it's a redo.
Yeah. I really, I
Because you hit it. Yeah. Wait, no, I hit it in.
Can you? Yeah.
It's like you hit it, and really good fix it, I hit it. And you,
I think I did.
It's really weird.
Hey, you don't know how hard it is. Okay.
So what happened to see? What
Because you're a loser. No, it's just.
Daniel, Judah hands on me.
No, I didn't. It's a CR.
I don't even have a secret.
Yes, you do. You have a CR.
This is where we live now. We live in California.
No, you purposely.
This is what's happening. I'm not a
Alicia.
Or you just call it.
our school system is bending in any direction.
That's your reading.
But what we're talking about, I don't care what you look like, as long as you believe it. That's what matters.
I could play
Got it.
I will break your leg off your line shot. Just with my shot.
You are.
One shot. Oh. Wow.
So, before the try.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
So why?
No,
They're reading. Give me like the.
we're all losing. That's the whole
We're talking about,
All right, everybody, grab a Bible, find a seat. It's time to get started.
See.
Side shot.
But the game.
Welcome, guys. Aiden, please take the ball out of your shirt and find a seat.
There's no difference.
Ball out of your shirt, find a seat.
Oh, there's your.
What?
She's covered in footsie balls.
I shared that bad.
Oh, no, foot leg. Foot.
All right, everybody, find a Bible, find a Bible, find a Bible.
What? I'm just listening to the doctor.
Preferably not one that someone already found. Find a new Bible, one that is just sitting on a shelf, or one that you brought from home.
Or one that's on the show.
I'm gonna do something. Why is Daniel?
I don't know. We've gone for like a week. Maybe they're sick.
No, they went to San Diego.
Oh, no.
Then why'd you ask?
Why'd you ask the question?
Because
You knew who they were.
it's because they should have been back in San Diego today.
Oh, well, maybe they're just tired from being gone in San Diego.
Yeah, but
Did you know
I don't always like to go places the day after a long drive. I understand.
you want to recall?
I'm
the-
always sure that you died. Yes. I want one.
Want to recall the game stand up if
Now you can. I will please.
All right, boys. Quiet.
Judah, maybe you should think about if your seating choice is a good idea.
Gabriel.
That's a good one.
I think you need a move.
That's clearly what was being mentioned.
You're the most
Well done,
Mr.
Sherlock.
Caleb. Watch that.
All right, boys and girls, it is time.
he's too tall, he can't even see me.
She was bad to him.
It is time to open our Bibles to the book of Numbers. Anyone remember what we talked about last week? Last week in Numbers, what happened?
Where Moses tried to save the people from dying from the wrath of God.
Yeah. And then, anyone remember what happened after that?
Oh.
Right after Moses tried to save the people from dying from the wrath of God?
You told me to count how many fish are in Numbers.
That's a good point.
There are
Yes.
three.
Yes.
There were 3 people, like 3 families that got swallowed up. And
Yes.
the people that were burning incense to see if they could be priests got like swallowed by.
And Korah.
By flames. Yes. Well done. Good memory. And then, anyone remember what happened the very next day?
Korah's family died.
What happened the very next day? It's close. Yeah.
They came back to Moses complaining.
Yes, they did. They complained to Moses that Moses was leading them astray. Moses was a bad leader. Moses was the one who was getting them punished.
You probably could just guess that
Even
one.
though Moses was the one who went and jumped right in and tried to rescue their butts. Silence your cell phones now.
Wait, what if I wanted to put mine in the phone bucket?
Then also silence it, and then also put it in the bucket.
So will it still count if I put it?
You can put it in right now. Just make sure it's silenced, and then put it in. So, they rebel slightly, they get punished slightly. They rebel more, they get punished more.
Very hard.
But the second time they were about to get punished, Aaron saved them. So the first time they're about to get punished, Moses tries to save them. Second time they're about to get punished,
Wait, what page are we
Aaron
on?
tries to save them. Page 128. 128. So, Moses and Aaron being complained about, you're horrible leaders, we don't like you. But in the same chapter, on 2 separate days, they're putting their lives on the line to go and save people.
Where are we?
Just the worst leaders, right? So now we get to chapter 17 in Numbers. So that was all last week. Yes.
Oh, Abe.
But so I was right about Korra disrespecting God and dying.
Yeah.
Wait,
Two things. One, did Tornrock die too?
Yeah.
I thought so. And two,
only once.
doesn't H like not make the Korra sound?
No, he does.
The chorus sound.
All right. Anyways, in chapter 17 this week, something completely different and nothing like last week at all, right? It's chapter 17, verse 1. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Tell the people of Israel to bring your 12 wooden staffs, one from each leader of Israel's ancestral tribes, and inscribe each leader's name on his staff." Does anyone know about staffs?
Yeah, I do.
Just generally, what's a staff?
I think we will do that.
Like a walking stick. Anyone else know anything else about staffs?
I actually do.
Their staffs are someone who works someone.
Yeah.
No! Stop!
Aiden's like, that was my dumb joke! Don't tell my dumb joke! I love it, Chris, so that when you think of an Aiden-style joke, like, you're dying.
You're just laughing,
absolutely dying inside. Just laughing uncontrollably.
Welcome to the club.
Aiden's like, I got 9 of those, come on.
It's
All
that
right, so-
infection that you get sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you catch the Eden disease. It's very sad.
Oh, that staff.
Oh, yeah, that one too. So, a staff has another purpose, though. Beyond just being a walking stick, it was also a symbol of your authority. Your staff represented whatever authority you had, and so your staff would typically be as ornate, as decorative, as nice as your position. So maybe you're the bottom rung in the family, you watch 10 sheep, that's your whole job in life, probably just got a stick off the ground. But as you keep going up all the way to someone like a king, eventually your staff starts to be made out of like jewels and gold. And there's everything in between. You could have different style staffs depending on your office, your position. Maybe you're a prince, maybe you're a governor, you would have a staff, but it wouldn't just be a stick off the ground. Eventually you get to the polishing step, or the shaping step, or the painting step, or the inlay step, and there would be all these little nuances to your staff based on the amount of extra money you had to throw around. And so your staff represented that. And so when God sees the people's rebellions, time after time after time, always following in this thread, this one particular thread of why Moses? Why Aaron? Why is it them? Shouldn't it be us? Shouldn't it be me? Shouldn't it be my family? Why is it Moses and Aaron? God says, okay, let's put a stop to that kind of rebellion. I think you guys should have learned your lesson by now, so I'm just going to go ahead and teach you without you messing up another time. We're going to do a whole example for you before you mess up again to show you why Moses, why Aaron. Yeah, Samuel.
So if you're the highest authority, then why would you have to have staff? Because of course you would be the staff. You wouldn't have to have a staff of your own.
Right. That's what symbols are, though. Symbols are stand-ins for the real thing. If your question is why do we have symbols at all, that's a much harder question, and it's a good question. Why do we have anything at all to represent when there is a real thing?
Why is there anything at all?
That's
the question I asked, and I realized there wasn't a Shrek 5.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So, God's against idols, then wouldn't it be making... If you're putting a bunch of money onto something you carry around with you, and something as simple as a staff compared to adding it to the altar, wouldn't that be sinning?
It's a really good question. God doesn't condone having a decorated staff or a big golden kingly scepter. He never says, like, that's a good thing. I'm just telling you what happens. It's not as though God is instructing us to do that. He doesn't. I'm just saying this is what people do.
Well, the staffs that Moses and Aaron had weren't special, except that God made them special.
Yeah, that's really true. Moses' staff was from his time as a shepherd. As far as I know, we get no record of him upgrading his staff. We get no record of him turning it into a scepter. So originally he's just a shepherd. He has a wooden stick. It's for making the sheep go through the gate. It's for pushing them in the right direction. It's for beating up lions. Like that's his staff. It's just a big old wooden stick. But God made it something special when he told Moses to use it in the workings of certain miracles. So it became special in the spiritual sense, but we never have a record of Moses decorating it. I'm just laying out for you historically, like, what most people did most of the time in most cultures, and what we see later detailed in Israel's future after this point. We do see some of that pop up. So, yeah, Jeremiah.
Daniel, how many gems does it cost to upgrade Moses' staff? And is that an in-app purchase?
There's 3 slots on the standard staff, so you can put 3 gems. Sorry.
Gotta make sure they're perfect though.
Yeah, gotta have perfect gems. Yeah.
I don't know, was it Abraham or Moses a part of this, the Red Sea?
Moses.
Moses.
Yeah.
Didn't God like make Moses' staff like
Abraham is the Red Sea.
physically? Like he used his staff to turn the river into blood, he used his staff to turn into a snake.
Yeah,
Abraham
He used
Lincoln?
his,
that's all the things I was referencing. I just loosely referenced all the miracles he did. But yes, all those. And then more.
yeah.
He did all through Moses' staff. Not because Moses' staff was special, though, and that was kind of the point. It's like any special you could ascribe to his staff, any amount of, wow, ooh, cool staff, was all to do with the history of the staff and nothing to do with the appearance of it.
Yeah.
Like, it had nothing to do with, like, which stick he'd picked off the ground. God didn't come to him and be like, good choice. Now you can rescue the people of Israel. That's
a lot of pressure. You
staff
just have like
right there.
100 sticks on the ground.
That wasn't the test. Yeah, Hannah.
I was just thinking, actually, using his old staff might have been good for Moses, because if he gave him a new staff, he might have attributed it to his staff, like which is a magical thing.
That's true.
Just like,
We see it in the culture they were raised in, that superstition is a strong thought process for them. And if you give them an opening, they tend to go superstitious. So yeah, it might have been a way of God to kind of safeguard against. He didn't deliver him a special staff before he did all these miracles. He just had him use the one he'd been using for years. It's really wise on his part. Yeah, Judah.
So what if Enchanto is staff?
What?
Considering the time period of Encanto and when the movie was made, probably not ever gonna happen.
Yeah, but like Lala is famous.
Enchanto.
You just needed some time travel in that movie somewhere, and then yeah, you could write that story.
What do you think Bruno is?
I mean, that might be one of their powers.
I mean, he can only see into the future.
They got
He
more
can't
family
see
members to
into
be
the
born
past.
yet, so.
Yeah.
You can't control the past.
All right. Anyways, they're just gonna take their staffs. They're gonna go the extra mile of signing the staff. It's like the opening to a magician's card trick, you know, where you sign the card. Same basic idea. Sign these for security, so no one can claim, hey, you switched the sticks. Like, you gotta make sure this is gonna be a legit test. Then verse 4, place these staffs in the tabernacle in front of the ark containing the tablets of the covenant, where I meet with you. Buds will sprout on the staff belonging to the man I choose. Then I will finally put an end to the people's murmuring and complaining against you. Try and imagine the situation, right? Imagine you are the ultimate skeptic, the ultimate doubter. You're like, hey, I'm pro not being a slave in Egypt, but I also don't believe in God. I think this is all smoke and mirrors. I think it's all magic tricks. I think Moses is a big fake. I think he's ruling the nation through trickery. I think God isn't real. Every time it's a booming voice, there's someone back there with a sheet of metal going, whoa, 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 whoa. I think everything here is completely fake. For Moses to say before he does it that we're going to sign staffs and see which one sprouts into buds is setting yourself up for a fall. Because you could just go switch out a stick with a budded stick, right? Mm-hmm. But to get 2 sticks to look exactly the same is actually really hard. That's not actually that easy. Wood grain is like fingerprints. And if you get a good look at Aaron's staff before this trick is done, and it's some magic trick where you just switch out the old dead stick for a live budded stick, that's going to be really hard to pull off. For one thing, a budded stick would have had to have come like fresh off a tree. Which tree exactly did he get it off of in the middle of the desert that's budding? Also, how did you pre-weather this stick that just came off a tree to look like the stick that had been going around in the desert for a year with Aaron? Yeah, that doesn't actually sound that doable. Yeah.
It would also be interesting to know what time of year it was.
Yeah, I don't know. You can actually figure it out. I know from the details.
Okay.
I have not.
Oh, you can. Okay.
But yeah, you could totally figure it out from the details.
That'd be really funny if it was just like.
See if things are supposed to even be budding. Maybe it's the dead of winter in the desert. So this is a hard trick. This is the kind of thing that, you know, for all the other things I know you could already say this can't be a trick. All these other reasons in the story where you can say, oh, this can't be fake. This one too can't be fake. This one specifically can't be fake is kind of important because what you're doing when this trick is done, when God does this test for them to prove that it's all legit, is you're saying there is a family within this nation that gets special rights and privileges for the rest of all time. Does that make sense? You're choosing a family within the nation to have special rights and privileges for the rest of all time. So if this is just a trick, it's kind of a big deal. And if it's legit and it's from God and it's his decision, it's kind of a big deal. So this thing being done in this way, where it's really hard to fake, is important. Yeah, Samuel.
So that's how Encanto got created.
Yeah, you're so close. You're almost there. Just keep listening. I know you'll get it. All right, so
Think of homework.
verse 6. Oh, did I skip 5? No, I got 5. It's verse 6. So Moses gave the instructions to the people of Israel, and each of the 12 tribal leaders, including Aaron, brought Moses a staff. Moses placed the staffs in the Lord's presence in the tabernacle of the covenant. When he went into the tabernacle of the covenant the next day, he found that Aaron's staff, representing the tribe of Levi, had sprouted, budded, blossomed, and produced ripe almonds. I would have loved to watch that, like a time lapse without the time lapse. You know, where like the branches just start coming out of the stick. You know that little sound, right? Of the slow things moving fast?
Yep.
And then little green little buds start forming, and the little leaves start coming out, and there's like a little flower bud, and it starts sprouting, and then there's like the magical bee that comes in, and like goes and pollinates the flowers, and then flies off, and the petals fall down, and like this is all happening in one night. And then eventually the almonds come out. Like that's really cool.
Bees like almonds?
I like almond flowers. I don't know what they think of almonds, actually. I've never given a bee an almond. Have you? Yeah, at least.
How much room was there for them, like, legitimately just thinking that Moses was a magician?
If you mash up these, will
Legitimately?
Legitimately thinking that, yes.
None. Absolutely none. At this point, we're only a year from the Red Sea. Walking between two walls of water is pretty convincing.
That was nothing that
It's
they would ever
pretty good as far as magic tricks go.
Yeah.
Never
But
seen anyone pull that one
What
off
about
since.
just from this? Like,
Just from this?
yeah.
I think it's pretty convincing if you got a look at Aaron's staff. If you didn't get a look at Aaron's staff, you could claim this was a trick.
Yeah.
You basically couldn't know the difference between the real version of this and the trick version of this. Again, middle of the desert, so it's pretty bad odds anyways.
Also, do we know that it was an almond branch, or could it have been a different?
Yeah, I always just assumed it was an almond branch based on this. They've never gone through that detail up to this point. Yeah, so anyone who'd been close with Aaron, anyone who'd known Aaron, anyone who'd been around Aaron during the past year, which is a really long time, had seen his staff, would be able to recognize it again.
Yeah.
Generally, staffs were unique enough that you could tell the owner of the staff by its staff, by its shape, by its look, by its, basic design. This is an object people carried with them daily. It's kind of like if we all took off our shoes, we might not all be able to give everyone their shoes back and know whose shoes they were, but I'm pretty sure anyone you're close to, you would know their shoes. Does that make sense? If we all took them off and threw them in a mixed up pile, you would know certain people's shoes. And you'd be very sure about it. Other people, not so much. So it's kind of the same with Aaron's staff. He's seen with it every single day. Anyone who spends time with him, anyone who knows him even a little bit well, would be able to say, yeah, that's his staff. So there wouldn't be a sureness in the entire group, but there'd be certain witnesses who would be able to say, yep, that's his.
Except for those of us that are wearing black sneakers.
Well, actually, I did notice earlier today that Caleb and Krista have the shiniest, newest ones.
Yes, that is.
And only his were, his size. So I do actually think I could give back the right sneakers to at least
Shane
Krista.
is wearing them too, though.
No, his aren't as new and shiny.
Oh, okay.
I don't think.
I don't remember.
Right? Yours are newer than your dad's, right?
We're all the same. We're all
No,
the same time.
they're
His look way dirtier than yours.
You just got them dirty fast.
Maybe I'm wrong. I could have sworn I noticed
No,
that
we
Caleb's
all
were newer.
got
Anyway,
same
just
shiny
the funniness of the analogy, not me.
Maybe they're as shiny. I think they're a little dirtier.
We're talking about you.
We're talking about your shoes.
Welcome back, Shane. We're taking part in the shoe hour. We're all discussing shoes.
They're your staff.
Chucks.
Chucks. Definitely.
Does anyone know why they're called chucks?
Because
It's not me and Shane's age.
because they make you chuck.
I can tell which shoes are eating shoes.
Okay. No one this age knows why they're called chucks. I love it.
Actually,
Love it. You do?
because they make you want to chuck them.
That's a really good point. Well done.
I do shop shoes.
Well, you guys can answer that next time. First person to tell me next week why they're called chucks that didn't use Google.
Darn it.
Ask your parents.
Yeah, you can ask your parents.
Dad,
It's allowed. They may or may not know.
Chucks mean?
Next week.
Somebody
Next
will
week.
copy his answer
I'll
before
get
you,
a prize
Krista.
ready for you. Alright, so Moses. No, we did 6. Okay, yeah, verse 9. So the test totally works. And now we move on.
Know something. Carelessly.
Verse 9. Yeah. Google is illegal.
Oh, sorry.
Don't break the
I
law.
was using Bing actually, so.
That's a lie. Alright, verse 9. When Moses brought all the staffs out from the Lord's presence, they showed them to the people. Each man claimed his own staff, and the Lord said to Moses, place Aaron's staff permanently before the Ark of the Covenant to serve as a warning to rebels. This should put an end to their complaints against me and prevent any further deaths. So Moses did as the Lord commanded him. So God's doing this preventatively. Remember, this isn't a punishment. This isn't some sort of judgment on them. He just wants them to stop making the same silly mistake every so often. He wants them to remember back to this moment years later. And so one of the neat miracles that happens here in the desert is that Moses' budded staff just stays that way.
Aaron's.
Oh, did I say Moses? Yeah,
Yes.
Aaron's staff just stays that way. Yeah.
Also, Bing is the best way to Google something.
His staff just stays like this, perpetually. It just stays with flowers and almonds on it forever.
So doesn't he have to get a new staff?
Yeah, basically. I know, right? Yeah, I won! Oh. Also, yeah, what desert staff options are there? Probably not great. Although sandblasted is smooth, right? What's next? Alright, so there's one more bit to this story, and I think it's interesting, but also a little bit sad. Verses 12 and 13 say this. Then the people of Israel said to Moses, look, we are doomed, we are dead, we are ruined. Everyone who even comes close to the tabernacle of the Lord dies. Are we all doomed to die?
Yes.
Okay, what just happened?
They
They
died.
cried out and they sadly, they miserably.
Every time up till now, where God has spoken and said, it shall be so, do this thing, it usually ends up really poorly for them because they disobey. God speaking to them and handing out a you shall do this is usually a very scary moment. Up until now, it's been usually a response. Judah, did you take Aiden's Bible?
Hey, prove it's mine.
No.
I know it's yours. It's not even a question.
He cheated.
It has Aiden. Aiden.
Aiden, I know it's yours.
He looked at the answer.
Everyone agrees it's yours.
It's rhetorical.
Up till now, it's been scary moments. It's been moments of rebellion answered by God. And on top of that, they're usually moments of put you back in your right place. So they match really well with what just happened with these staffs. Those moments match really well with this. But this was not a punishment. This was not a response to a crime directly. The crime happened earlier. But there's still the same fear attached. And this is, I think, a real problem, is when you misunderstand God, you stand to misunderstand what he does. You don't take in what he does as really what it means. And so the people are standing there, they're watching this whole thing go down, and all the people see, oh, we got it wrong, we shouldn't have rebelled. This sounds like a really scary opening to them. Like the beginning to a really bad story where thousands of people die. But it wasn't. It was just meant to be a teaching moment, a lesson, a test, a sign. And yet they're afraid of it the same as judgments past. And you can kind of see they're really looking at God the wrong way. They're thinking about God as this booming voice that only speaks when their deaths are imminent. Yeah, Emily.
They're kind of ignoring the part where he says, and prevent any further deaths. Literally says it right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but murder is a thing of the past. Now we have candles.
I guess if it's not an idiom, that is true.
Exactly. See, what's an idiom?
Alright, so they're not really looking at who God is. And yeah, they're totally missing to prevent deaths. They're totally missing the whole idea of the test that was just performed. The whole idea is that you would never forget your past failures.
I feel like they stopped listening after Rebels.
Mm-hmm. And so this is, guys, this is true discipline. This is discipline in its truest form, because this is discipline without the punishment. Discipline and punishment often go together. They're usually paired up. But discipline can be separate from punishment. And so God gives them right here this amazing moment of, discipleship, where he just wants to teach them. And in the teaching moment, the people go, ah! I just want to teach you. Ah! There's a fundamental break in that relationship. There's a misunderstanding of who God is to them. Because if God is only a punisher, then yeah, the word he speaks, get out of the way. But that's not who God is. He's not only the judge. He's not only the punisher. Yeah, at least.
I was gonna say you can kind of compare it to when a parent starts to have a conversation with their child, purely a conversation without punishment, about why something they did was wrong, and the child starts defending themselves, even though there's nothing to defend against. It's just a
And then,
conversation.
Rocket League views.
No.
Defense.
So, yeah, Gavin.
What is the longest chapter in the Bible?
Psalm 119?
I thought it was 118.
No, it's 119.
Which one?
It's 118. I thought it was 118.
No, it's one.
Well,
Psalm's
the long psalm is 119, but I don't know that that's the longest chapter in the Bible.
I'm pretty
Okay,
sure.
I'm
hundreds of
119.
verses.
Yeah, it's 119.
What do you think it is then, Isaiah?
100-ish verses.
But longest by verse count or longest by word count? 'Cause
There's some
verses-
chronicles that are pretty long.
Verses in Psalms are pretty darn short.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's both, just because of how much longer than most it is.
Oh yeah, it's not 118. I don't know why I thought that.
Aiden, that is not what that chair's for.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's definitely not.
Someday.
Yeah, Judith.
Outside, like, it says, with love, student government.
Yeah. Okay, so that wall, in case you haven't picked up on it yet, on the right side is our ministry wall, and we put stuff on it, like photos. And on the left side is the schools section of the wall. So the left side is from the school, which has a student government, wrote everything on that wall.
Also, the urinal has, colors in it.
Oh, like purples and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually normal.
Okay, yeah.
I know that seems weird, but that's normal.
I just saw someone with Pete Skills.
Yeah. You might want to see a doctor if that was you. No, it's the cleaning fluids. They're dissolving the little urinal cake plastic, and like it's letting out its dye color into the water. It's just like we're using the wrong chemical on those cakes. That's all. That sounds bad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where are we talking about now?
Yeah, he was worried that the colors were a bad thing.
Also, someone was screaming when I was in the bathroom.
Like purple. Purple shouldn't be in your toilet, right?
Is that normal?
But there is.
No, it was normal.
There's that
It was
soap
like,
stuff.
Huh?
And when you clean the bowl with the soap stuff, you put it in it, and then like the Mr. No.
Okay, we're just gonna go.
So 119
Is it about the toilets, Jeremiah?
Did they even have no?
I was gonna say that I saw a toilet cleaner that.
No! I said no!
The fact that it kills the
No
COVID-19
means no, Jeremiah. No means no.
And I thought that was quite humorous.
He doesn't get it. Alright, so, yeah, kids being defensive before their parents. We sometimes, we start a conversation with a leader here at church, we start a conversation with a teacher at school, and we're on the defense. We're afraid of what might come because of past history. But there is a one-sidedness to how you view that person if you accept that outcome. If you accept that every conversation with your principal is going to be punishment on you, then you've accepted this alternate version of your principal where he has no interest, she has no interest, except to punish you. That's all they want.
Which ruins the relationship.
The relationship's destroyed. You have to fix it at that point. There's something broken at that point. And the people and God are just distant enough here to where when God says, let me teach you something, they cower in fear. That's really heartbreaking. And the thing that they think they're guilty of, which I think is so sad, is coming before God at the tabernacle. That's what they called out in those verses as what they were guilty of. Think about that for a second. Coming before God at the tabernacle is the thing that he wrote the most chapters on, because he wanted them to do that. He wanted them to come to the tabernacle so they could worship him close up, so they could draw near to him. He asked them to do that. And they think that now they're going to die because they did. It's really sad. And so I want to caution anyone here, I want to caution myself, my leaders, I want to take a moment to stop and think. When we respond to sin, we have to be careful that we don't tell people accidentally, you're not allowed to come before God. Because we don't mean to say it. The Bible's really clear that you should go before God. You should worship Him. You should pray to Him. You should draw near to Him. And sometimes we can accidentally say, like, you did a bad thing, Krista. Bad Krista. No. And, like, it can make you feel like you don't belong. You shouldn't come. You shouldn't draw near. You're not good enough. I hope we never say that, and I hope we never accidentally say that.
Nah, I wouldn't care.
I hope not. The idea that you can be so bad that you don't deserve to go before God is real, but it was already true of every single one of us. Does that make sense? Like, the problem isn't the statement, the problem is where you leave it. Because it's true, none of us are worthy to go before God. Not one of those Israelites was worthy to go before God. Moses wasn't worthy to go before God. And that's the whole point. That's what their whole system was designed to accomplish, was getting them holy enough to go before God. And that's what Christ died on the cross for. Was to forgive us, wash us clean so that we could go before God. So as we discipline parents, as we, you older siblings lead and bring up your younger siblings, and someday you may inherit even more authority. Some of you may go on to be, moms, dads, teachers, principals, policemen, governors, presidents, I don't know. May you never make a law or lead your followers or teach your kids in such a way that you say, you're so bad, now you don't deserve. It's quite the opposite. We're already so bad that we don't deserve. And then we're supposed to treat people with forgiveness and grace. That's the real truth of it. Because that's what God does for us. He says, come before me. I know your faults. I know your mistakes. Ask for forgiveness. I'll forgive you. Repent. You can have a brand new life. You can start over whenever you want. That's what God says. And so as He shows them, please stop making the same dumb mistake over and over, they resort to this old mode, this old way of thinking, we've done something wrong. We're all going to die. He's saying, no, I just wanted to lead you up higher. I just wanted you guys to follow a little closer. I just wanted you guys to actually, be closer to me. That's kind of the goal. And they freak out like they're all going to die. Without God, we are all going to die. Without Him, we are all doomed to death. Contact from Him speaking to us, that's what saves us. And likewise, when an adult comes to you guys and wants to discipline you, disciple you, call you up higher, don't think that that's coming from a desire to see you pushed away. Punishment and discipline, that comes from a desire to pull you closer, to draw you in, to bring you up higher, to help you. Punishment and discipline is brought to you by the authorities in your life out of a love for you. So when you're punished, when you're disciplined, remember, I know it's hard in those moments, it comes from love. An unloving person, an unloving authority who really doesn't have any concern for you, they'll just let you do what you want. They'll just say, whatever. Have fun.
As long as it doesn't hurt them.
Yeah, if it's not affecting them, they're not going to care. So those authorities in your life, Aiden and Judah, can you guys somehow magically stop whispering and talking and laughing? I don't know how you're going to accomplish it.
Magically. It will take magic.
I don't know what happened. I can't fix it. I have no idea what happened. Judah, can you fix it?
Maybe.
Try right now. Thanks. Try harder.
He was almost full.
Shall I play a
Did you-
sad tiny
just
violin?
see if I got this right. Did you leave gum here and he took most or all of it?
All of it.
Almost.
Okay, and now he's giving back some of it?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Judah, can you give back everything you can give back that's not in your mouth?
The Skittles are in my mouth.
He also, no.
Hey, Judah. I'm not finding this funny at all. Can you go
Well,
away?
you said that's not in my mouth.
Great.
Here. Oh, wait. There you go. I'll save that for the trash.
This is why I'm not leaving this room anymore when he's in here.
Daniel, I agree with you on how you're just like, why?
Aiden, again.
No, I was praying.
Seeking choice.
Yeah.
He would have got it to take my stuff. No, you don't.
Is that Gavin's gun?
How'd you guys not
I
see
thought
it?
was Moses.
I'm sorry to say I don't watch each person all of the time.
It was fun.
Not even Judah.
Oh.
Not even you, Aiden.
Well,
He would rather not.
you'd go blind if you
guys.
did that.
Judah, are you done?
What?
Are you done? Did you try and make it right?
What? I don't know now. Here.
He spat that out of his mouth.
Alright. Can we try and finish? Thanks. It's basically done, too. It's a terrible derailment.
There's one more for me.
We're basically finished.
Yeah, just about. I was like drawing to a close right there.
So should we like print out or?
No, I feel like the right end to a talk about where discipline and judgment comes from and punishment is like to like stop and discipline and punish Judah, but it just isn't the right moment.
Don't punish Judah.
Well, you stole someone's stuff, so
Here,
Back though.
most of it.
No.
here, I know the right,
Shoot up.
the right
There's
background
15, and
sound.
I ate 3. I usually ate 3.
It's like 10 sticks. I feel like I can't be right.
15 minus 3 is not 8. I'm confused.
I know. He didn't give all of them back.
18
Or he
minutes.
did.
Me too.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yesterday in Leviticus,
Say that again?
yesterday in Leviticus, I read that if you stole, you get stoned.
That's true. But you're also supposed to pay it back how much times over?
Because you ate some
What is it,
just now.
2?
It's 1.5. It's 1.5 times over.
Ate two.
Which is I think in some cases you're supposed to be double. If it's like an animal, because like half an
Yeah,
animal is not the same as a whole animal.
Put them on
Weird how some things cut in half and not as good. Apple pie? Ah, that one works.
Wait, which
Cow,
one's
not
the
so much.
wait? Which one's the best pie?
Chocolate.
Which is the best pie?
Cherry.
That's a highly personal
Alphabet's
choice.
rule.
It's not
Highly
opinion, it's
personal.
a fact. It's not opinion.
Which half?
Lemon meringue.
That's racist.
All right.
That's a good.
Shh. We'll be done now. Thank you. Discipline and punishment are hard to understand until you're the person who actually has to discipline and punish. And even then, it's actually pretty hard to understand. But God is perfect at it. And so we can draw our examples from Him. We can draw our teaching moments from His teaching moments. And so I think this is a good one where you take the people's fear and you kind of put it on display. And honestly, I think this is like the perfect moment when you see a bad reaction from your child, from your sibling, when you see that bad reaction to discipline, you know there's something deeper wrong. You know there's something else under the surface that's broken. And this is the moment where you should immediately do even more work. This is where you take your cue for what to teach next, what to help with next, what to lead them in next. And so this problem of, oh no, God is going to kill us all, this problem of seeing God in the wrong way is the next thing that needs to be worked on. It's the next thing that needs to be improved. So likewise, when you're witnessing to a friend of yours, it may, as you do this more than once, become obvious, but I'll just tell you now, not every friend of yours needs to hear the same things about God. God has so many attributes, but oftentimes they already know one or two, and since they're missing all the other ones, they hate Him for it. There's actually really easy ways to see part of who God is and hate that version of God. But just by seeing like part of Him, you don't get that full picture, you can hate Him. If you only see the God that judges, you think He's too judgy. If you only see the God that forgives, you can think, why would He forgive a murderer? That's just wrong. If if you only see the God of the Old Testament, or only see the God of the New Testament, or only see just one little facet of him, you can really get the wrong idea about him. And so it's important as you talk with friends and you try and lead them to Jesus that you see what it is that's wrong. What in their heart is broken? What is it they're missing? And then you have to adapt. You have to actually try and figure out what piece they need. What is going to complete that picture of God? What is going to complete them? What's going to heal them? It's an important skill to learn, but you have to talk with them. You have to look for these moments where suddenly, that doesn't make any sense. Why did you go there? Why did you think that? Something's leading them into this. All right, Aiden, scoot back to row 2 with your chair.
To room 2?
Row 2. Just scoot back like your imaginary row 2 now. Take your chair. Scoot back. Don't look at me. Just scoot back. Move chair. Move chair. Go. Aiden, you have 2 seconds, and then you're leaving the room.
That was 2 seconds.
Thank you.
Is that good?
That's great.
You're the 7th row.
Judah, you did not have permission to move your chair.
There's my Bible.
What?
You did not have permission to move your chair.
Oh.
So that's my
I
Bible.
was like the imaginary Aiden.
You could ask Caleb for it. That's fine. I don't think you were reading it though.
Judah, can you hand me my Bible?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Caleb.
Yeah. Let's pray. Lord, help us to take discipline. Help us to listen when we're being told something by an authority and not get defensive. Help us to be willing to look at our own faults. To learn what we can learn from a situation without just throwing up our hands and saying, wait. Trying to tell our own story. Help us, Lord, to take discipline from you. To feel the consequence coming on and know this is going to hurt. To not get bitter. And help us, Lord, too, to really see the heart in people. Whether it's the authority that's disciplining us or maybe it's our friend we're witnessing to. Help us, Lord, to look past just those actions in the moment, those words in the moment, and really see their heart. Help us to see your heart, Lord, when you allow a difficult consequence to fall on us. Help us to see your heart of love, your heart of correction, your heart of grace, and your heart of judgment. Help us to really take in the weight of a sin that gets in between us and you, or a sin that gets in the way of us and another one of your kids. And help us, Lord, to see when our relationship with you is fractured. Maybe we've seen you a little bit wrong. We've treated you a little bit wrong. We've thought of you a little bit wrong. Help us to have that crystallizing moment where it just becomes clear something's not right. We pray for those moments, Lord, that they would not pass unnoticed. We would truly wake up right then, right there. And we would get right with you. With our heads bowed, with our eyes closed, if there's anyone this morning that can honestly say, I want to get right with God. Something's not right. I want to change it right now. Could you just raise up your hand? I want to pray for you. Eyes should be closed, no one looking around. Just you and God and me. If you're having a hard time, something doesn't fit in your life the way you think it should. Maybe it's been hard to pray. Hard to really talk to God. You can just raise up your hand. just to say that's me. I see that hand. I'll pray for you. Anyone else today? Well, Lord, I want to lift up this middle schooler to you, that you would draw them in close. You would reveal your true nature to them. Help them to mend their relationship with you. To put you in your right place. Help them to treat you as Lord. And for whatever consequences have already blossomed in their life, Lord, we ask that you would help them through it. Even as they deal with the things that may have been brought on by it, that you'd be their strength. You'd give them courage. And you would guide them through to a place where they're stronger because they're closer to you. I also ask, Lord, that you would give them courage to reach out. They would open up to other Christians when they need help. So they wouldn't have to walk alone, but they can have a tight-knit family. Other Christians praying for them, other Christians just walking that road with them. I do honestly ask for all these things for all of my middle schoolers, but especially for those today that are hurting. I pray this in your name, Jesus. Amen. If there's anything else you guys need prayer for today, please stop and talk to a leader. You can pick me, you can pick any of the leaders, doesn't matter which one, whatever you want. But we want to know. We want to know if there's something you're dealing with, struggling with, need help with. And let's see. Oh, big announcement. Today is a parent meeting. So if you have parents, anyone have parents?
No.
I have parents.
No.
Wait, no, I'm orphaned. They left.
Don't laugh at orphans. Orphans are real.
It's just that she's the only one in the room with two parents present. Oh no, she's one of the two only people with two parents present.
Yeah, I get it. I was just kidding. Yeah, so parent meeting today, 1:30. I will happily feed them delicious food. If they want to come back and eat lunch at 1:30 and have a parent meeting. It's a great place to meet other parents too. If your parents like to meet other parents, they can come back at the parent meeting. 1:30.
What do you call when an orphan takes a selfie?
Thank you.
A family photo. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Oh, that's the worst.
So sad it's me. It's so sad.
All right, guys. Before you leave, you can put a chair back on the stack. That would be great.
Did you hear why Allie's not wearing sneakers?
No.
I sent her everybody else the correct everything, but they sent her two left shoes.